Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode here on Daily English Loop. I'm Alex, and as always, I am so happy to be hanging out with you all today. We have a great session lined up.
Hi, everyone, and hello to all our amazing listeners tuning in from all over the world. I'm Lisa, and I am super pumped for today's topic. I think it's going to be a game changer for a lot of people.
I totally agree, Lisa. You know, we talk a lot about grammar and vocabulary on this show, but today we are diving into something different. We are talking about a fantastic technique that can really boost your English speaking skills. It is called shadowing.
Shadowing, yes. It sounds mysterious, doesn't it? Like something a spy would do. But it's actually for language learning. Alex, for those who might be new to this concept, can you tell us a little bit about what it actually is?
Sure thing, Lisa. No spies involved here, unfortunately. Shadowing is basically a technique where you listen to a piece of English audio and repeat it out loud at the exact same time. You try to copy the original speaker as closely as possible.
So it's not like the traditional listen and repeat where the teacher speaks, pauses, and then you speak.
Exactly, Lisa. That is the key difference. In traditional classes, there is a pause, but with shadowing, there is no pause. Think of it like your voice is the shadow of the audio. You are following right behind it almost instantly.
Oh, I like that image. Like playing follow the leader with your voice. So we listen and we try to say exactly what we hear at the same pace and with the same emotion?
Precisely. It is like being a parrot, but a very smart parrot with a purpose. It is not just about repeating the words blindly. It's about getting a feel for the rhythm, the pronunciation, and the flow of natural English.
That makes a lot of sense. It sounds like a really active way to learn. You can't just fall asleep while doing this.
Definitely not. It requires focus. But before we get into the nitty-gritty details, Lisa, should we remind our lovely listeners to do the usual?
Oh, you are absolutely right, Alex. I almost forgot because I was so excited. Before we jump in, if you are enjoying our podcast and finding it helpful, please take a quick moment to hit that subscribe button for Daily English Loop. It really helps us reach more learners like you.
And don't forget to give us a thumbs up or a like on this episode if you find it useful. Your support means the world to us, and it helps us keep creating this content for you.
Yes, please do. And if you have any questions or thoughts about shadowing, or if you just want to say hi, feel free to leave a comment down below. We love reading your feedback. It's my favorite part of the day.
Mine too. All right, Lisa, let's get back to shadowing. Why do you think this technique is so effective for English learners? I know you've tried it yourself in your language learning journey.
Oh, totally. Shadowing works on so many different levels. Firstly, I think it really helps with pronunciation. You know, when we read silently, we imagine how words sound, but we're often wrong.
That is so true. English spelling can be a nightmare. It's not always phonetic.
Exactly. By trying to match the speaker's sounds in real time, you become much more aware of how English words are actually pronounced. You stop guessing and start copying the reality.
I agree. It forces your mouth to move in new ways. It's like going to the gym for your tongue and lips.
That's a funny way to put it, but yes. And secondly, it improves your listening comprehension. You have to really pay attention to the audio to be able to repeat it accurately. You can't zone out. So it's like a workout for your ears and your mouth at the same time.
Precisely. It connects the input and the output. And thirdly, shadowing helps you get a better feel for the natural rhythm and intonation of English. This is something textbooks can't really teach you.
Oh, for sure. Native speakers don't speak in a flat, robot voice. They go up and down. They use changes in pitch and stress to convey meaning and emotion.
Right. They stress certain words to show what is important. Shadowing helps you internalize these patterns naturally. You stop sounding like a robot and start sounding like a real person.
That is a great point, Alex. Intonation is so hard to learn just by reading rules. You have to feel it.
Absolutely. And finally, shadowing can also help to improve your fluency. By practicing speaking along with a native speaker, you become more comfortable forming English sentences. You stop translating in your head and just let the words flow.
Wow, so it helps pronunciation, listening, intonation, and fluency? It sounds like a super pill for English. So how can our listeners actually start using this? What are the practical steps?
Well, we have broken it down into 7 clear steps to make it easy. The first step is to find some good audio material to shadow.
Does it matter what kind of audio? Can I use a heavy metal song?
Ideally, no. It is best to start with spoken English, and importantly, start with something that is at your level or maybe just slightly above. If it is too fast or too difficult, it can become frustrating very quickly.
That makes sense. You don't want to give up before you start. What kind of audio material would you recommend specifically, Alex?
There are lots of options. Short podcasts designed for English learners, like Daily English Loop, are great because the speakers usually speak clearly.
A little self-promotion there, Alex. I love it.
You know it, but seriously, clear audio is key. You can also use short clips from English TV shows or movies, as long as the speakers have clear pronunciation. I personally like using interviews or vlogs on YouTube because the language is very natural and conversational.
I love watching cooking vlogs. Maybe I could shadow those. Add 2 cups of sugar.
That would be perfect. Audiobooks can also work, especially if you have the transcript to follow along with.
Having the transcript sounds really helpful, especially when you are just starting out. It's like having a safety net.
It is. When you have the transcript, you can read along while you listen and shadow. This helps you connect the sounds with the written words and understand any parts you might have missed.
So, step 1, find appropriate audio material, maybe with a transcript. What is step 2?
Step 2 is to listen to a short section of the audio without trying to shadow it first. Just listen. Put your hands down, relax, and just try to understand the general meaning.
Okay, so just get familiar with the content first. Don't stress about speaking yet. That seems doable.
Exactly. Then, for step 3, you start shadowing. But here's the trick. Do it in small chunks. Play the audio again, maybe just a short sentence or 2 at a time. Try to repeat exactly what you hear at the same time as the speaker.
Okay, should I worry if I make mistakes?
Not at all. Don't worry if you don't get it perfect at first. Just focus on matching the rhythm and the sounds as best as you can. It might feel weird, like you're mumbling, but that is part of the process.
So we are trying to be like a shadow, following closely behind the original voice, catching the wave.
Yes, that's a great way to think about it. Catch the wave. And step 4 is to repeat this process multiple times. This is the part people usually skip, but it is the most important.
Repetition. I know, it can be boring, but it works, right?
It works wonders. Go back to the same short section of audio and shadow it again and again, 3 times, 5 times, 10 times. Each time you will likely notice new details in the pronunciation. Oh, he didn't say going to, he said gonna.
True. Repetition is key, just like learning a dance routine. You have to do the steps over and over until your body remembers them.
Absolutely. And then step 5 is to gradually increase the length of the audio you are shadowing. Once you feel comfortable with shorter sentences, you can try shadowing longer phrases and eventually whole paragraphs without stopping.
That sounds like a good way to build up your confidence and stamina. It is like running. You start with 100 meters, then 500 meters.
Exactly. And step 6, well, Lisa, this is the scary one.
Oh no, what is it?
Step 6 is to record yourself shadowing and compare it to the original audio.
Oh boy, that is a brave step. I hate hearing my own voice on recording. It makes me cringe.
I know. It can be a bit intimidating. Most people don't like the sound of their own voice. But, Lisa, it is incredibly helpful. It is the only way to really hear what you sound like objectively.
That is true. When we speak, we hear ourselves through the vibrations in our skull, so it sounds different. Recording tells the truth.
Exactly. It allows you to identify areas where you need to improve. Maybe you think you are making a th sound, but on the recording it sounds like an S. You can only fix it if you hear it. And remember, you don't have to share these recordings with anyone. They are just for your private learning.
That is a good point. It's a private way to get feedback. No one else has to hear my cringe moments.
Exactly. And the final step, step 7, is to be patient and persistent. Shadowing takes practice. You won't become a native speaker overnight after one session.
Consistency is key.
Yes, with regular practice, you will definitely see improvement in your pronunciation, listening skills, and fluency, but you have to stick with it.
So, to recap, the steps are find audio, listen first, shadow short sections, repeat, increase the length, record yourself, and be patient. That is a solid plan, Alex.
I think so. It creates a structure for your study time.
Now, Alex, you are the expert here. Do you have any extra tips for making the most out of a shadowing session? How do we supercharge it?
I do have a few tricks up my sleeve. One tip is to really focus on the sounds, not just the words. Pay attention to how the speaker moves their mouth and tongue. Even if you can't see them, try to visualize it.
That is a great tip. It's about getting a physical feel for the language. English requires a lot of mouth movement compared to some other languages.
Exactly. Another tip is not to worry too much about understanding every single word when you're first starting a shadowing session.
Really? Ignore the meaning?
Just for the shadowing part, the focus at this stage is more on the sounds, the melody, and the rhythm. If you stop every time you hear a new word to check the dictionary, you lose the flow. You can always go back and look up unfamiliar words later after the speaking practice.
That is important. Sometimes learners get stuck on one word and it disrupts their whole flow. It creates a mental block. It is better to keep going and then revisit later.
Right. Keep the momentum. And a third tip is to try different types of audio material. Experiment with podcasts, news reports, interviews, and even songs.
Songs? I love that. Shadowing a song is basically karaoke, right?
Pretty much. And it's great for linking words together. Each type of audio can expose you to different vocabulary and speaking styles. News is very formal, vlogs are very casual. You need both.
That is a fantastic idea, Alex. Variety is the spice of life, and it can also make your shadowing practice more interesting so you don't get bored.
Absolutely. And my final tip is to make it a regular habit. Even short, consistent shadowing sessions are more effective than long, infrequent ones.
Like doing it for 10 minutes every morning is better than 2 hours once a month.
100%. Try to incorporate it into your daily commute or while you are washing dishes. Even 10 to 15 minutes of focus shadowing a few times a week can make a massive difference over time.
I love the idea of doing it while washing dishes, multitasking.
Exactly. Now, Lisa, let's flip the coin. What are some common mistakes that learners might make when they're trying to shadow? What should they avoid?
That's a great question. I think one common mistake is trying to shadow material that is way too difficult. As we mentioned earlier, it's best to start with something at your level. If you're constantly getting lost or can't keep up with the speed, it can be super discouraging.
Definitely. It feels like you are drowning in words. It is better to feel successful and build confidence with easier material first.
Another mistake is focusing too much on individual words and not enough on the overall flow and intonation.
Right. Focusing on the trees and missing the forest.
Exactly. Remember, it is not just about saying the right words, it's about saying them in a natural-sounding way. So try to mimic the melody of the speech, not just the notes. If the speaker sounds excited, you should sound excited. If they sound sad, sound sad.
That is such a good point. Copy the emotion. And a third mistake is not being active enough. Shadowing isn't just passively listening and mumbling. You need to actively try to match the speaker's energy. It requires focus and effort.
It really is like a mental and oral workout. You should feel a little tired afterwards.
It is. And finally, some learners might get discouraged if they don't sound exactly like a native speaker right away.
Oh, the perfection trap.
Yes, it is important to remember that improvement takes time. Don't give up just because you stumble.
That is such an important message, Alex. Be patient with yourself and celebrate your progress, no matter how small it seems. Even if you just get one sentence right, that is a win.
Absolutely, Lisa. Every little bit of practice helps. And remember, the goal of shadowing is to improve your communication skills, not to become a perfect clone of the speaker.
So, Alex, can you give our listeners a quick example of what shadowing might sound like? Maybe you can say a short sentence and I can try to shadow you.
Sure thing, Lisa. Let's try something practical. Imagine we're at a coffee shop. I'll say the sentence and you try to shadow me instantly. Ready?
Ready.
I would like a large coffee with oat milk, please.
I would like a large coffee with oat milk, please.
That was great, Lisa. You matched my speed perfectly. Let's try one more, a bit faster. Did you see the game last night?
Did you see the game last night?
Perfect. See, listeners? It's about trying your best to follow along immediately.
Thanks, Alex. It definitely feels like you are more engaged with a language when you are actively trying to repeat it. It wakes your brain up.
It really does. It helps to build that muscle memory for speaking English.
So, for our listeners who are just starting out with shadowing, what kind of resources would you recommend they look for specifically?
For beginners, I would definitely suggest podcasts that are specifically designed for English learners. These often have clear pronunciation and speak at a slightly slower pace.
Like Daily English Loop.
Exactly. Or other ESL podcasts. That's a great starting point because the vocabulary is usually controlled.
And what about more intermediate learners? What kind of materials could they use?
Intermediate learners could start using slightly more challenging material, like short news clips from the BBC or CNN, or interviews with actors they like. They could also try shadowing parts of English TV shows or movies that have relatively clear dialogue. Sitcoms are usually good for this.
Sitcoms are great because the language is everyday English. And for more advanced learners, what is the boss level of shadowing?
Advanced learners can really challenge themselves with more complex audio, like academic lectures, fast-paced debates, or even stand-up comedy.
Stand-up comedy? That sounds hard.
It is very hard because the timing and cultural references are complex. But the key at this stage is to focus on the subtle aspects of pronunciation, intonation, and even slang.
That sounds like a real workout.
It is, but it's also a fantastic way to really refine your English speaking skills and sound more natural.
Well, Alex, we have covered a lot of ground today. To wrap things up, what is the one key takeaway you would like our listeners to remember about the shadowing technique?
If you remember nothing else, remember this. Shadowing is an active and effective way to bridge the gap between listening and speaking. It helps your pronunciation, listening comprehension, and fluency all at once. It takes practice and patience, but the benefits are definitely worth the effort. So don't be afraid to give it a try and repeat like a native.
That is excellent advice, Alex. Thank you for sharing all these great tips on shadowing with us today. I am definitely going to try incorporating this more into my own language learning. I might try shadowing a French cooking show tonight.
You are very welcome, Lisa, and good luck with the French. To all our listeners, we really encourage you to try the shadowing technique. Remember to start with material that is at your level. Be patient with yourself and practice regularly. You will be amazed at the progress you can make.
And that brings us to the end of another episode of Daily English Loop. Alex, it is always a pleasure chatting with you.
The pleasure is all mine, Lisa. It is always fun. And thank you to all our wonderful listeners for tuning in. We hope you found this episode helpful. Before we go, Lisa, should we give our listeners one last reminder?
Absolutely, Alex. If you enjoyed this episode and found it useful, please don't forget to subscribe to Daily English Loop so you don't miss any of our future lessons and tips. And please do share this episode with any friends or family who are also learning English. The more, the merrier.
Yes, please do share, and we would love to hear from you. Leave us a comment below and let us know if you have tried shadowing before, or if you have any questions about it. We always enjoy reading your feedback.
Thanks again for listening, everyone. Keep practicing, keep shadowing, and we will catch you in the next episode. Bye for now.
Goodbye, everyone. Have a great week.